Whenever you have a front headlock, one of the main principles you need to think about is the elbow, and are you closing the elbow, okay? Specifically, when you want to finish submissions from the front headlock, that includes darces, anacondas, arm end guillotines, and maybe a power guillotine, right? So I'm going to go over several different examples of those. You have any of these variations being applied right here. Because this is a compression-based submission, we need to be having the neck driving into the shoulder or the shoulder driving into the neck. When he opens his elbow up, that creates space in his neck, as you can see. When the elbow closes in, that takes away all that space. Okay, so that's the difference between compression and extension right here. Okay, so we're going to go over several different ways in the darce, in the anaconda, and in the arm and guillotine, and really basically the power guillotine as well, to close this elbow so that we can have a better submission. So let's start with just a power guillotine, okay? This is pretty simple. When I wrap his head right here from a front headlock, I'm going to immediately move my entire body, maybe starting with my knee, to the outside of his elbow right here, okay? Now I can sit into his hip and throw my other leg over his body, and I'm just gonna lay on his arm and compress until I get the tap, okay? So in this case, my rib is closing this elbow, okay? It is impossible, if I'm right here, for him to open his elbow. David, try to open your elbow. He cannot open his elbow. My whole body weight's blocking it. So this is one of the strongest expressions of this concept that I can think of, is when I'm laying all my body weight onto this elbow so he can't open it, and I finish this power guillotine. So right there, closing the elbow with the power guillotine. Now let's look at another expression of this concept of closing the elbow and the front headlock. We're going to use the anaconda, okay? This is the opposite of the darce. So in the anaconda, switch sides. In the anaconda, it's a little bit different, where usually in order to break them down, I end up having to do a complete roll, okay? So let's just do the roll. Boom. Okay. So I've rolled through, I got them broken down, and now I want to finish the anaconda. The thing is, if I just start locking this up right here, and maybe I'm locking like this, figure four, whatever, and he starts opening his elbow, he can reinforce with his other hand to help him open the elbow, okay? You guys see the answer here is clearly him opening the elbow. One of the first things that I can do to keep the elbow closed would be to get my leg involved, okay? So I can immediately throw my leg over after rolling, and by throwing my leg over, this will prevent him from just opening his elbow. He might have to get my leg out of the way to free his arm so he could do that, okay? So something that'll just help you finish the anaconda chokes would be to, once you roll them over, immediately throw this leg over the elbow, okay? Now from here, I can start walking my hips in and squeezing until he taps. Again, it's a compression-based submission. Another way to do this that's pretty simple is a darce, okay? So in a darce, once I've gotten David broken down onto his side right here, usually we use a vice grip or whatever, but we're not going over the breaking down mechanics today. We're just focusing on this elbow, okay? So closing the elbow in the darce, all right? As long as I can keep him pinned here on his side right here, he cannot open his elbow. Why? Because my chest is in the way, okay? A mistake that you would make in the darce would be falling over, okay? You see, if we rotate, if I fall over on my side right here, you see how David can open his elbow, and he can start driving his elbow towards the ceiling, he can build back up. I'm not gonna get anywhere. However, if when I attack the darce, I use my chest to lay on his arm, he can no longer open his elbow, All right, now I can focus on compression. I know that that elbow is not going to create any more space, so I can just continue to take away that space from him, okay? One of the many things that he might do, just to finish the darce, one of the many things that he might do would be maybe walking his body away from me, okay, until he can build up. So obviously, right here we would go into another principle where my body orientation has to stick to him with connection, so my chest can continue to stay on top of his elbow and prevent his elbow from opening anymore. So now he has nowhere to go to open his elbow, so I get the tap. Boom. So that's finishing the darce using the closed elbow concept.